Hello and welcome to Getting Started with ReadyMode and Reporting Basics. We're going to get started here in just a few moments, and I want to welcome everyone who's just joined. If you'd like to add in where you're calling in from, maybe your city, your state, always great to see where folks are coming in from. Now, across North America, typically we've got folks from everyone from Florida to California, Colorado, all over. Sometimes we have folks from Mexico, and actually I'm calling in from just north of Toronto in Canada. So yeah, lots of different areas represented today. So again, welcome to those that are just joining. We're going to get started here in just a couple moments. You're in Getting Started with ReadyMode and Reporting Basics. We're going to be going today for probably around an hour. We're going to go through all of the getting set up basics, as well as we're going to add in some reporting this time. And reporting is just so important, especially after you make a few days worth of calls, to make sure that you know how you're doing. Are you connecting with your customers? Are you making sales? All of that is possible to see that success within ReadyMode using reports. So again, welcome to those that are just joining. You're in Getting Started with ReadyMode and Reporting Basics. Feel free to add in where you're calling in from, your city and state. And great to see you calling today from Pennsylvania. Nice to see that. Colorado. Good to see you as well. So we've got a few in the session today from all over North America. So great. Well, I'm going to get started in the interest of time. Again, thank you very much for joining today and learning a little bit more about setup of ReadyMode. The timing for the webinar is about an hour. It might go just over an hour with those extras on reporting. So hopefully you can stay for the whole time. Feel free to ask questions throughout the session. If I can take them on the spot and just kind of provide some quick answers. This is a live webinar, so definitely want to make sure you have good value and answers to your questions throughout. And if they happen to be a little bit more involved or maybe specific to your gateway, I'm happy to take them at the end and we can go over them at that time. There is a webinar survey that it's going to pop up when the Zoom window closes, and would super appreciate if you could let us know the value you've gotten out of today's session, and also any topics that you'd like to see in the future. We're continuing to develop new webinars. We've got a webinar on reporting only, so you can kind of learn everything about reporting. And also we're just starting a group coaching session all about optimizing ReadyMode. So once you have your gateway set up, you've had some time to make some calls, want to make sure that you keep going with that success. So lots of webinars being developed, but we want to hear from you as to what you find would be most useful in keeping your business successful. Also, you will receive a link to the recording of this webinar, so you can review any sections again that you want to have a little bit of a review on. And yeah, you can keep it, show it to others, and yeah, it'll be yours for the keeping. So to introduce myself, my name is Laura, and I'm the Scale Customer Success Manager here at ReadyMode. And what that means is I'm devoted to customers like yourselves. You might have just one seat of ReadyMode or 4 seats of ReadyMode or anywhere in between. I want to make sure you have the best experience as you get started using ReadyMode. So feel free, again, ask questions, reach out to me. You can reach me either at onboarding@readymode.com, or when I send you the link to the recording of this session, you can just respond to my email and I'd be happy to set you up with any other resources. Goals for today's session, really the main goal is to get you oriented and successfully dialing fast. I know you're ready and hopefully able with a lead list to reach out to your customers, and you really want to get that going. Want to make sure you're comfortable with ReadyMode, the interface, the functionality, and some of the main options. I mean, it's a highly configurable system. It's a lot to it, but there's really just a few basics that are super important to get set into place so that you can kind of go ahead, make your calls, and it's very smooth going forward. So that's what we're going to do today. And here's a few tips for setup success. Making sure you have those basics set up is very important. I'm going to also show you some of the setup and training resources. So This webinar is definitely one of those resources, but we also have short videos. We have a resource guide. We have our online help center, and we have ReadyMode Academy. So I'll just review all of those and make sure that you have a knowledge of how to get to those tools as well. And then finally, just take some time to explore the ReadyMode interface. I'm going to kind of show you a few important areas as an administrator, of what you can do and how you can set things up. But definitely you might just want to make further tweaks and configuration settings that are suitable for your business. So take some time to explore these small nooks and crannies within the interface, and yeah, lots of options available to you. So this is what we're going to cover today. We're going to go over logging in and navigation, so super basic, setting up agents, uploading your lead list. I'm going to talk about a campaign as it is in ReadyMode, and also how to set up playlists. I'll go into phone numbers. This is a very hot topic in our industry in calling, and I want to set you up with some best practices around preserving your phone number reputation. So we're going to go into that, and I'll show you how to order some phone numbers. We'll also look at inbound queues. Very important that even if you don't want to take inbound calls, you still have a way for customers and leads to contact you back so that your number appears correctly when you're dialing out. So I'm going to show you how to set up an inbound queue, and even just to collect some voicemails to review later. And then setting up your agents for success. So how do you set up a script so it's easy for them to go through, and then call results. So you may want to update the default buttons that are available in the agent options. Finally, we're going to just have a quick breeze through the top 3 reports that customers use in ReadyMode, and then you can just monitor them as you start making those first few days of calls, seeing how you're doing, and then looking for trends after you are calling for a week or 2, and that'll be very useful. And then, of course, those support and training resources. So let's start with a poll. The question is, have you used an auto dialer before? And I'm going to just turn to the chat here and see who we've got on the call today. Often it's a mix. It looks like we've got a couple of yeses. So great. You're going to get some value out of the session today, just in comparing and contrasting from any interfaces that you've used before in other dialers. And I see we've got a no, and you're also going to be in a good place. We're going to go over the very basics of setting up and using ReadyMode. So I'll make sure to point out any terminology and just try to get you oriented as to how the dialer works, and then of course also any configuration settings that are really good as basic setups. So great, good to see. It's a mix today. That's pretty normal that we have a mix on the call. So again, please ask any questions, and I'd be happy to try to answer them. I'm usually pretty good, but I do get stumped from time to time. So we'll see how we do. All right, let's start off with logging into ReadyMode and navigation. So what you're going to need is your login information, and this is going to be your username and password, and it'll be from the email that you received when you signed up to ReadyMode. And in that same email is going to be your gateway URL, and the gateway URL is kind of your company name or an abbreviation of your company name, .readymode.com. And that's what you're going to put into the address bar in your browser. You'll also need a Windows computer, Chrome browser. Chromebooks are fine, by the way. We get that question a lot. And a wired internet connection. This is important for call quality. So sometimes customers want to try to get by with a Wi-Fi connection, and they really don't have the best experience in using ReadyMode. So you want to have that highest call quality, and a wired connection really allows for that to happen. Also a wired USB headset if you're making calls, and with all that in place, let's take a look at logging in and navigation. So I'm going to hop over here to our demo site, and you can see here in the address bar, I've got readymodedemo.readymode.com. So that's where that URL goes. And here I've got a login screen. It's going to look very similar on your gateway. In fact, if you'd like, you can open up your gateway at the same time if you have the ability to do so, and you can follow along with me as I go through some of the exercises and demonstrations today. So you can see I put my username here in the white text box. I've got a password here in the light blue text box. And from there, I can simply click sign in. But I do want to point out that most of you, if not all of you, are administrators for your gateways, and you do have some options on logging in. So if I were to put in my username and password and click sign in, I'm signing in with full capabilities as an administrator, and I'm also consuming a paid license. So the benefit of that is you can make calls yourselves, and many folks that just have one seat of ReadyMode or starting with one seat do that. They can be an administrator, they can make calls. If you have a couple of seats, you've got an agent, and as an administrator, you want to go in and listen to calls live, you can sign in just like this, and you can use those supervisory functions in reporting, such as view office map. So this is a paid sign in by signing in this way, but if you don't want to consume a paid license and you want to go in as a free license as an administrator, you can do that as well. By clicking on sign in as admin, you're going to be able to sign in and do pretty much all of the configurations that I'm going to be showing you today. You just won't be able to make calls, and you won't be able to do the live supervisory, like listen in on calls or do three-way calling with any agents that are signed in. So a couple of options for you as an admin. I'm going to click this off and sign in as a full administrator so I can show you everything. But that's just wanted to point that out as well. So I'm going to click sign in, and ReadyMode's going to fire up here. Pretty quickly, you start seeing the interface turn up, and looks like I've got some notifications, and that's the first thing you're going to see is these notifications on the lower left-hand side. Looks like I've got some unchecked voicemails. I'll show you how to check those. So I'm going to click out of that, and these boxes do disappear after a period of time, but you can also click out of them. So here I am in ReadyMode, and I've basically got three main areas of the interface. So as a bit of a tour, on the left-hand side is the dashboard. So the dashboard contains links into making configuration settings, looking into more information such as reports, and doing things like uploading lead lists and changing phone numbers. So under my account, we're going to spend some time today in settings, and that's where you'll be able to find phone numbers and purchasing numbers, also setting up inbound queues and doing things around agent options like setting up scripts and call results. So that'll be later on in the session today. We'll go under settings. Under manage, we've got users and leads. So under users, that's where you can set up new users. So adding some agents and also changing permissions for those agents. And then under leads, that's where we're going to find how to upload a lead list, how to update your playlists, and also configure campaigns. So we'll go into that as well. License usage is useful because you can see who is currently using those paid and unpaid licenses. So as an administrator, you can go in and have a look at that, and you can even log people out if you are an administrator. So that's one to look into if you're managing more than one license. Recent queues and recent folders are all automatically generated quick links into areas that you've just been. So this is based on your behavior, and you can see I've gone to users recently, I've gone to inbound queues recently. So you can see that's kind of automatically generated for convenience. Then we have reports, and these are all the reports that are visible by an administrator. And we're going to spend some time just quickly at the end going over those top three reports. We're going to look at the dialer report, which is all that background dialing activity. So how many calls am I making? How many calls am I connecting with live people? How many answering machines am I getting? So that's the dialer report. We'll take a look at that. We're going to also look at the agent report, which can give you a great sense of productivity and how your agents are doing. And then we'll look at call logs, which allows you to listen to calls, so all calls being recorded, and also see how they've been dispositioned. So that's really the measure of success using the dialer is, how many calls have been dispositioned as sales or appointments or whatever the measure is that you would like for your business. So with those 3 reports, we'll look into them. Again, we do a full webinar on all of the reports. So kind of demystifying, you know, what are recent calls, what is research calls, and also some time for questions. So you'll be able to sign up for that webinar in the link that I send you with the recording of this webinar. So if you want to do that, you can, very welcome. At the top here are some quick link icons. So we've got a dashboard. So going back to the dashboard, this one is managing user accounts, which is the very same thing as this user link. So this is just for ease at the very top. And then we've got this one, managing lead pools, which is the same as this link here. We also have a global search where you can put in your agent name, profile names, phone numbers, and more information will come up in the workspace here. This is the availability mode dropdown, and this is really where the magic happens. So as you log in or your agents log in, they'll first start off in prep work, which is the dialer is paused, you know, you're getting ready to go. And when you're ready to fire up the dialer and get it started making calls for you, you go to ready mode. And that's where calls will start going out. And once a connection is made, the script will pop up, the call results or disposition buttons will pop up, as well as the profile information. So that's ready mode. Break and lunch pause the dialer. And there are some other settings too. These are all configurable by the administrator, and also whether it's a payable or unpayable setting. So typically ready mode is a payable setting because you're actively making calls, but break sometimes is payable and sometimes, you know, customers don't want it to be payable. So you can configure all of those under agent options. If we go across the side here to the right-hand side, we've got a blue bell icon, which tells us the number of calls that you've done today. And for your agents, they'll have access to their own calls. So they can see how many calls they've made today and just their login information. So when did they log in? You know, just a few details are in that daily report. And then you can sign out here at the upper right-hand side. And if you scroll along down the side here to the lower right-hand side, and I've just hovered over that up arrow, if I click on it again, it locks into place the manual dial pad. And here I can dial phone numbers out from here, and also I can enter in a number and dial it as well. So I can also check my voicemail from here. So if I click on this blue cassette icon, my voicemail tool pops up and I can see all the messages in there, time-stamped, the phone number that it came from. I can play the message, download it, see how long it was, put it on the do not call list. Very handy. This is a great tool, again, if you don't want to talk to inbound callers, you can still send them to voicemail, and that's a great way to manage those calls. So you can add it to the do not call list, transfer it to another agent if you'd like, or simply delete it. So I'm going to tap on that arrow again and close that up. And just to mention, we do have an internal chat. This is something that you can use or not use, but it allows you to chat with agents within ready mode. And this is great if you've got VAs at a distance. You can chat with them from within ready mode. And you can also set a permission whether the agents can chat with each other. So can take a little bit more look into the settings and features here, but it's really pretty simple and self-explanatory. And that's really the ready mode interface as a quick tour. So just as a review, the 3 main areas on the interface are the dashboard, that left-hand side. So linking into configuration settings, being able to view more information about your leads and uploading leads. The top navigation here includes the quick link icons and also the search, the availability mode dropdown, and ability to sign out. And then the workspace. On the interface that you just saw, it was a light blue workspace with our Ready Mode logo. I've just added in this image here, which is our old ZenCall logo. And for those of you that have used dialers before, maybe you know us as ZenCall. And I wanted to point out that you may still see ZenCall referenced throughout the interface in different places. So just to know, we'll phase that out over time. But yeah, we'll go forward with Ready Mode as much as possible in the future. So let's look at setting up your team. The types of users in Ready Mode are pretty simple. You basically got administrators, which you probably are, and you have control over all functionality full visibility to users and reports, all reports, and you even have the ability to sign in with a paid license or an unpaid license, as I noted there in the login. Agents, on the other hand, have very limited permissions. They can basically do 4 things. They can make calls, good thing. They can pause the dialer, so they can go on break and lunch. They can view their own calls, so they can see how many calls that they've made and take a look at them. And then also they can view the profiles that they've taken on as their own. So if they've dispositioned profiles and owned them, they have access to those in their My Files folder. And that's really it. There's not much more that they typically need to do, but as administrators, you can allow them further permissions and assign those permissions after you have created those agents. So let's take a look at setting up an agent on our demo site. So here in ReadyMode, we're going to go to Dashboard and down to Manage, and then click on Users. So here our user management tool pops up, and you can kind of see those 2 main buckets of users. You've got quite a lot of administrators on this site. And then our agents and customer service are all agents really, but you can split up your agents into different folders for, for different purposes. Some gateways by default have openers and closers as 2 different folders. They can have the same or similar permissions. So really we've got our administrators and our agents. Now, if I want to add an additional agent, I just click the green plus sign and the user creation tool pops up in the workspace. From here, I can add an agent. Let's go with Vic, and his login is automatically populated, but I can change his login to Vic123 if I'd like. I can add an extension, which would be a 3-digit extension in ReadyMode, and I can put him in the agents folder, customer service folder, or I can make him an administrator. In this case, I'm going to keep him as an agent because he's going to be making some calls for me, and I can add additional agents right from here as well. I'm going to not do that. I'm just going to add Vic at this point, and I'm going to check this password that's been generated. So ReadyMode is very happy to generate a bulk password, and it's nice and complicated, but if you're anything like me, you're going to want to probably change that. So let's go with something similar to his login ID just for ease of use, and I've added a special character for extra security. And when I'm ready, I can click Save. And you can see Vic has been added here to my pool of agents. And if I double click on Vic's name, you can see more information about his account. So I can change his name, I can change his login ID, I can reset that password if that's needed, and then see additional settings here. I can see his files, so those profiles that have been assigned to him here as well. Update his extension, see what his caller ID is. And if I'd like him to have a voicemail, I can do that and record it here or play it once it's recorded, or upload an MP3 file or not have a voicemail. Down here at the bottom is you can see those 4 main permission settings that agents all inherit. So they can see their own calls, they can use the AI dialer, they can take a look at their own profiles that have been dispositioned to them, and of course they can go on break and lunch or training. So they have ability to change their availability mode up here in the drop-down. But as you can see, there's quite a lot of other permissions available, and I won't take time to go through every single one of these, but just know that you can give them permission to add DIDs, purchase phone numbers for you. So you can kind of give them a little extra supervisory capabilities if you'd like for certain agents as an option. So that's agents and setting up a new agent. Let's take a look at uploading a lead list. So a lead list is in ReadyMode must be a .csv file, and it'll have the names and numbers of the potential customers that you're calling. So you can see here I've got a well-formatted lead list. I've got Felipe here, he's in 1 line. Occasionally you'll see lead lists that have 2 lines of information about a particular profile. You'll want to make sure that's just 1 line. You can also see that the first row here, the header, is all in 1 row, and it has clearly defined names at the top. So first name, last name, phone number, address. You'll also see that each phone number has its own cell associated with it, so you don't have two numbers separated by a comma in that cell. And also there's no empty columns in this file. So, and that's an easy fix. All you need to do is delete the empty column and you'll be good to go. So let's take a look at uploading a lead list in ReadyMode. So if we go to Dashboard and go to Manage, we're going to click on Leads. From here, we'll click on Upload Leads, and you can see a browser window pops up. And I've got my lead file right on my desktop, so I'm going to click on that and click Open. ReadyMode will confirm that it's a .csv file and the file name and that it's uploading a lead file. I'll click OK. And the lead upload confirmation tool pops up. So you can see here, I've got all my CSV fields, which are those header fields. Those are along this side. And here's all the internal fields as they'll be imported into the ReadyMode CRM. So we're going to try to do some mapping here. We've got first name to first name. ReadyMode's making a suggestion. These are all looking accurate. And phone number needs to be, especially if you have more than one phone number per profile, needs to be set to any phone field. And that goes for any phone number fields here. So you can see alt phone number also needs to be set to any phone field. So these other mappings, address to address, city to city, those are all looking good. If there's any field that I don't want to map, I don't have to. So I can click Don't Import. And once I'm happy with all of these settings, I'm just going to review on this side the information, which is the original file name, the timestamp, which will come in very handy as I determine the age of the files that are in ReadyMode. It has not yet been processed. I can change the name here, and I can put it into a campaign or create a new campaign. Now, I recommend keeping all of your files in one campaign, particularly if you just have one message. If you have one script, one offer, one campaign is going to be perfect for you because you're going to be able to check for duplicates. So feel free to upload it into the default campaign or just create one other campaign and you'll be good to go. So I'm going to put it into main campaign for now. And if you happen to have this option here, you can have some choices on whether you accept duplicates, reject duplicates, merge duplicate information. You can see I've hovered over a blue question mark sign here that provides me a little more information about my options. If you don't happen to have this option, just know that you are probably on a skip tracer system and you can be assured that your duplicates will be checked by default. So when I'm ready, I can click Done, Import Leads. And all of my leads will get imported fairly quickly into ReadyMode. It takes only just a few moments. You can see the lead file has finished processing. It's accepted the leads. It does note that there are some duplicates, which makes sense. I have uploaded this file before and does have some do not call phone numbers as well. So I'm going to click out of that. And that's really the ease of uploading a lead list. Let's talk about campaigns next. And campaigns are really where you can start to organize and separate out your leads for calling. And it's really based on market. So keep in mind with campaigns, again, you probably just need one campaign if you're just getting started off. Say you're a real estate business, you're reaching out to them with the same message. You want to make sure that you're checking for duplicates. You're just going to need one campaign. The way that I like to explain campaigns, and kind of made sense to me when it was explained to me this way, is if you think of all of your files going into ReadyMode as a file cabinet. So all of the files are going into a file cabinet. Campaigns are like drawers in that file cabinet. So they each contain a bunch of lead lists in each drawer, and each drawer has a purpose. So you've got your real estate leads in one drawer, and perhaps you have a renovation offer, a renovation business on the side. All those leads can go in another drawer. So it's kind of like a lead library, but it's basically a way to try to organize your leads around your markets. As I mentioned, you might have different scripts assigned to these different markets. So you've got a renovation offer, you've got a real estate offer, you've got a solar offer. Those can be all three different campaigns. I've seen customers create a new campaign with each lead list. That can be problematic. You can end up with a lot of campaigns that way. And again, it doesn't check for duplicates across campaigns. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of the big one. So again, do you need just one campaign? Probably, especially if you have the same basic message, want to check for duplicates, all leads are being called for the same purpose, and you can certainly add more campaigns later if needed. So let's take a quick look at configuring a campaign. If we go to Dashboard, down to Manage, and click on Leads, we're going to click on the Campaigns tab. And you can see I've got a few campaigns set up here. Again, residential, solar, I've got main campaign. I'm going to click on that first one, main campaign, and you can see the campaign configuration settings. So with campaigns, you can assign groups of phone numbers. So you can have a group of phone numbers for your real estate offer and a group of phone numbers for your solar offer if you'd like. And the way that you can do that is you can select phone groups for your particular campaign. So for this one, for instance, main campaign, I'm just doing it to Michigan. So I'm going to use all of my Michigan phone numbers from my phone group that I've created. And those will only be available to this campaign by checking that checkbox. If I have all of these unchecked, then all phone numbers are available to all campaigns. If you only have one campaign, this is not as critical because obviously one script, one call, one set of call results, one set of profile fields, you'll want that available to your single campaign. But good if you start to add additional campaigns, then you have flexibility to make assignments. There are some additional tooltips here to help guide you if you want to start specifically configuring a campaign. And this file list, now this is a very useful tool to kind of have a look at and manage your lead list. So what's happening here is you've got all of your lead lists. So again, kind of like in that drawer in your file cabinet, you can see whether you're actively using them for dialing. And if you'd like, you can deactivate them right from here. Why would you deactivate a lead list? Well, if you notice here, I can go over here and see how many rounds my lead lists have been called. 63 rounds of calls is pretty high. Again, this is a demo site, thank goodness, but it's actually a very high amount of times for calls or leads to be called. So this would be a great candidate for deactivation. Pause it. You can see the age of these lists. Some of these lists are very old. Anything over a couple of weeks old is probably a good candidate for pausing. And this health score will give you a rough sense of how well that list is going to perform for you. So you can see 1% health, not good. It's based on the age as well as the number of times that lead list has been called and how often it's been able to successfully connect with the leads on that lead list. So it's kind of a general measure of how it's doing for you. But if you do pause it and you allow it to kind of rest a little bit, you'll notice that health score kind of inches up again. It won't ever get to 100% because those leads have already been contacted at least once. But it will kind of give you an indication that, hey, maybe you still get some good connections out of this list. You can look into more information specifically about each lead list by clicking on the name. So you can see the original file name, when it was uploaded, when it was processed. You can change the name of the list. You can even move it around to a different campaign if you'd like, so you can kind of reorganize and also see the import results. So those are captured here in the lead file. You can delete the file, although never really recommended because you want to keep that historical information for your reports and for trending purposes. And then if you do make any changes, you can update that file here. So that's really campaigns, great way to kind of manage your lead lists, pause them, and also configure campaigns, especially if you have more than one. All right, let's take a look at playlists. So playlists are specific groups of leads based on criteria. So this is very cool. ReadyMode allows you to take a group of lead lists and then kind of choose different criteria out of all of those lead lists or even out of a single lead list, and then make that as part of a playlist that you can assign an agent to. So as an example, say you've got a group of lead lists and they're from all over North America. And you want to start by calling all of the leads that are from Washington. So using the playlist criteria of Washington State, you can pull that into the playlist and then assign an agent that you'd like to call just those Washington leads, and off you go. And that playlist will offer up just the leads from Washington. Other criteria such as never called is super useful. I've seen customers create a couple of different playlists, one of just the never called leads from all of their lead lists, and another one of leads that they've called, say, 1 to 5 times. So you can start to kind of prioritize your freshest leads with one playlist, maybe put, some agents on there that are your best to start with those never called leads, and then assign other agents to the other playlist. So just a couple of different strategies to share. One important thing is agents absolutely need to be assigned to a playlist to make calls. I've seen this before, where a customer was struggling to get the dialer working. All they needed to do is just make sure that they had one of their agents assigned to the playlist and they were off and running. So let's look at viewing and adding a playlist. So under dashboard, we're going to go to manage and again click on leads. This time under queues, you can see the queues that are set up here, and these are really some default queues, but all of the leads start off in the general leads queue, which is kind of the pre-dialed leads in ReadyMode. So I'm going to click on that, and that's where my playlists reside. So you can see I've got a few playlists in this system here, and as an example, here's my solar playlist. If I hover over the name of that, I can either remove the playlist or I can edit it. So I'm going to click on edit. And here you can see the playlist solar is here. I can change the name if I'd like. And here's those criteria. So we've got the state, number of times called, city. So I can actually focus on a particular city. I can choose file. Another strategy for playlists, for instance, to kind of organize them is if you've got a couple of agents and you want one agent to work on one file, another agent to work on another file, you can create 2 different playlists, kind of pull one of the files in there. So sample lead file for training, have that in there. I'm going to pull this over to the recycle, take that off for now. And they can just work on that one. Make sure you've got an agent assigned to that playlist for that lead file, and they're good to go. So as an example in here, because it is a solar campaign, I'm going to keep my entire campaign. So all the leads that are in that campaign are available to be called. I can add an additional criteria as well. If I want to call the never called leads in the solar campaign, I can do that. So you have the ability to not just add one criteria to your playlist, but you can add multiple criteria and have that extra flexibility and focus on the leads that you want to prioritize. So I'm going to click save, and I'm just going to note as well that on this playlist I was just working on, I have a group of an agents folder assigned to it. So all of the agents will be able to pull leads from this particular playlist. I can add additional queue members, such as the admin folder, or I can add user groups or individual users. I personally like to add individual users because then you have that extra flexibility as to who's assigned to what playlist. If I want to add a playlist, I can simply click on the add playlist over here. And I also want to point out configurations. So this is where many of you will have come to ReadyMode because of speed. So ReadyMode is widely known as being the fastest dialer on the market. It can dial up to 12 lines simultaneously for just one agent, and even more for more agents. By default, the configuration settings for speed are 2.5. And what that means is that the dialer is going to speed up and slow down to really try to target that best industry or best practice of 2.5 abandon rate. The idea is that you don't have the dialer go so fast that you start missing possible sales and possible leads that you can connect with, but it also doesn't go so slow that you're waiting for a live call to happen. So 2.5 auto config is often that nice balance between, and it's a good place to start. I always advise customers, try it out, see how it's working. And if you need to, you can come back to configuration here under the general leads in playlists and edit the speed. So I'm going to click on edit speed. And you can see here the 2.5 auto config setting is all set up, enable automatic speed. I can then go to a manual speed setting if I'd like. And by doing this, I can make adjustments to hard set the dialer to go at a specific speed. So I can have calls going out, 6 calls going out per agent at all times until a connection is made. And then once that call is done, it again will dial 6 lines. So the power of that is that you can really speed up the dialer, making connections more quickly. Again, the downside is you might miss a few leads or more than a few leads and really kind of go through your lead lists very, very quickly. So just to know that it's there, again, highly recommend starting off with 2.5 auto config and you should be good to go. The other one I wanted to point out, aside from the queue speed, is the machine detection. So we see here that it's enabled quick, which means that ReadyMode will be looking for and kind of listening for answering machines. It'll take 2 or 3 seconds to really try to determine to the best ability whether it's an answering machine that's there or what is happening, if it's a not in service number or a live person. So enabled quick allows 2 to 3 seconds for that. You can go a bit slower and be more accurate with machine detection by going with enabled rigorous. That'll pause the dialer for 6 to 7 seconds, and then it should have a better accuracy on whether it's an answering machine or not. Disabled allows you to basically stop at every picked up call, and you can add a disposition of dropping a voicemail if you'd like. So that's possible, or of course your agent could leave a message at every voice or every answering machine, but you do have that option here under configuration. Again, you've got some tool tips to kind of help guide you if you want a little bit more information, and that is the playlists. Phone numbers. This is a hot topic. So keep in mind that you need at least 1 phone number to start making calls, and you'll probably want quite a lot more, simply because of the amount of volume of calls that can be made using ReadyMode. Typically, anywhere between 300 and 500 calls can go out per agent per 8-hour shift. So if you've got just a few hundred leads, you might want to start securing more because you're going to be able to make a lot of connections with ReadyMode. And that's good news because you're going to be able to have a lot more talk time, a lot more opportunity to make sales using ReadyMode. So keep in mind that the phone numbers that you purchase are the ones that are going to be showing up at the call on the caller ID, and the ones that you're going to be dialing out from, and the ones that they can call you back on using the inbound. So of course, because you're using phone numbers and you're dialing out on these phone numbers a number of times, they can be flagged as scam likely. So on this next slide, I'm going to kind of just go through a number of tips for avoiding scam likely and trying to prevent it as much as possible and really preserve the health of your phone numbers. So having at least 3 to 5 phone numbers per area code and actually per agent that you're calling will really help. So that's going to balance that call volume. So say you've got 300 to 500 calls going out per agent. If you've got 3 to 5 phone numbers, you've got 100 phone numbers going out on each phone number, or 100 phone calls going out on each phone number, which doesn't tend to trigger that scam likely flag as often. So that's going to really help. Quality of your lead list can matter a lot as well. If you've got a lead list where it's a lot of cold leads and you're really not sure if you're going to be making some good connections, there's a higher chance that one of those leads will flag your number and say they really don't want to get any calls, and that can cause that flag to turn up. Not in service numbers, having a high volume of not in service numbers on your lead list, this also has to do with quality of the lead list. That can make a difference, and you can monitor that in the dialer report. Cycling phone numbers, this is a great feature that ReadyMode has where you can automatically cycle the phone numbers that you're dialing out on. So say you've got 5 phone numbers, you want to balance those calls, you set it to cycle and you don't have to think about it. So you're not manually changing which phone number you're using every day or every hour. ReadyMode will do that for you over one, well, more than one phone number, as many as you'd like. Also having a way for your leads to get on a do not call list. So setting up a voicemail. It's really important to make sure that your leads that are calling you back are going somewhere. And actually phone carriers will check this, whether they're able to get through to somebody on the phone numbers that you're dialing out from. So make sure that there's a way for either at least a message to be left for your numbers, and that will really, really help. And then just knowing that numbers will need to be changed out from time to time. It's going to happen. Sometimes it's very quick. Sometimes you can have your numbers for a week or longer, but just kind of plan that that's going to be a necessary part of doing business and making calls. So let's look at ordering a phone number. Here in ReadyMode, we're going to go to Dashboard, My Account, and click on Settings this time. We're going to go to VoIP. And 3 down is the phone number / caller ID. And you can see I've got a lot of phone numbers available to me, so that's good. Got lots to choose from. If I want to order another phone number, I just click on Order Numbers, and the Search Available Numbers tool pops up. We've got our area code selection here, so I'm going to put in 777. That's my test area code. And you can put in any area code that you're looking for. Often you'll be able to find numbers from that area code. Sometimes if it's a metropolitan area, might be a bit more challenging. Just look for an area code that's nearby and you'll probably be able to secure one. So I'm going to put in 777 and search, and it looks like I've got some phone numbers that are available to me. I see that there's no network flags on there, so sometimes you'll see a little yellow flag that turns up. Just saying that there's problems with that phone number. Definitely don't order from those. Just know that these are the best available numbers. They have been rested, that have been offered to you here. So if I like any one of them, I can click order, and you can see the phone number is now mine. It's in light blue here. It's created its own new phone group, and I can move it to another phone group if I'd like. Looks like I've got quite a lot of them here. So I'm going to keep it in that phone group for now. And you can see the important one here is the inbound flow is currently set to nowhere. I'm going to want to update that. So I can do that by forwarding it to, and whoops, making sure that I'm selected on the right one here. I'm going to forward it to an inbound queue. So my inbound queue is where I can send them to a voicemail. I can send them to one or more agents, and that'll allow those calls to be answered. So very, very important. You can see proximity matching is turned on. So if I happen to have set one or more phone numbers that match one of my profile's area codes, ReadyMode will automatically pair that phone number with that profile to dial out on. And that can really provide a friendly area code for that profile to see as they receive the call. And then here's that auto rotate available numbers. I've got it set to dialer and manual calls, and that's going to work great because I'm going to be cycling through, several phone numbers, really balancing the call volume. So that is ordering phone numbers, and we're going to take a look here next at inbound queues. And I can see we're just about 10 minutes to the hour, so we're in good time. We should finish up at the hour. And yeah, let's take a look at inbound queues. So you will get inbound calls from the leads you've dialed. And this is good news because hopefully they're interested in your offer. They want to learn more. Now you can either send them to an inbound queue or a voicemail or both. You can also set up an IVR, which is possible to do relatively quickly. There's more information on our knowledge base, and I'll show you where to find that here at the end of the session. So let's look at setting up an inbound queue. Here in ReadyMode, I'm just going to kind of click out of there and show you where this is located. So going to Dashboard, My Account, and Settings. So from here, again, I'm going to go to VoIP. And just above phone numbers / caller ID is inbound queues. Now I've got a few inbound queues here available. The first one is the one I'm going to click on. And you can see I can update the name there if I'd like. And you can see I've got a few queue members that are able to take inbound calls. So inbound calls will go to any of these 3 agents. And under the configuration settings, I can set the queue strategy to balance the calls between those 3 agents. or offer another selection. So again, I've got some tool tips if I want. Round robin's usually the the most popular, but there are other options for you. The intercept mode, this is how those calls will be intercepted. So if an agent is available in this particular choice, it will go to them. If it's not available, it will go to another agent. So it's speaking to the agent that had originally made the call. It will go to them, which is nice. If another agent's available, it will go to them. And if not, then it can go to voicemail. It's already set if nobody's available. And I'll just need to make sure that I have a recording set up for that. And I can also upload a recording to an MP3 file there. So those are really the configuration settings for an inbound queue. As long as I've got a few members, that really helps. And making sure that that inbound flow is set at least to an inbound queue with a voicemail. Finally, let's take a look at agent settings. So what do agents need and what can they do? They'll need very much the same as administrators. They need a Windows computer, USB headset, Google Chrome browser, strong wired internet connection, again, for that best quality, call quality and experience. And there's more information on system requirements. So things like processor speed, versioning, that kind of a thing on our help site. So other few things that they'll need is a username and password, which you will have created when you created your agents, and they'll absolutely need to be assigned to a playlist. So making sure they're connected up to those leads that they're going to be calling, and they'll be good to go. Now, agents have additional training options. So ReadyMode Academy allows them to, on their own time, takes about 45 minutes. They can go to the Academy, sign up for the training, it's free. Go through the training, a few different courses, gives them an orientation on the interface, how to make calls, how to disposition calls. When they're done, they get a certificate, they can show it to you, and you know that they have a sense of how to use the system. So it's a great way to get that training done. So setting up your agents for success, you'll want to just review the call results buttons, make sure that they're set up the way that you'd like, and also add a script or one or more scripts if you'd like. Let's take a look at agent settings. We'll go to dashboard, to my account, and click on settings again. And this time we're going to go to agent options. So the profile features tool pops up, and for call results, we're going to go to edit call results. And here are those disposition buttons. So when a call connects, you'll see more information here with the script. You'll see profile information in this location, and you'll see these disposition buttons pop up as well. So once the call is taken, once your notes go in, then the agent can click on one of these buttons and move on to the next call. So these buttons this is where you can configure the buttons and what they do. So if I click on not interested, I can change the name of it if I'd like. I can change the color. I can determine, does it end the call? Does it keep the call active? Does it leave a pre-recorded message? So that's that voicemail drop that you can set up. And then determining what it does. Does it schedule a callback? Under what time frame? Or do you send it to a do not call list? Or do you transfer it to another queue? So lots of options here. There are some defaults. You can review them and take a look and see if that is going to work for you. Also under profile features are the profile tabs, which include the scripts. So you can add a new script. I have a very simple script here that you can see. So here it's hi first name. So that first name is being pulled automatically, but using the parentheses from the profile. And it's also pulling the agent name using these parentheses. So your agents can simply read the script and go through it and then disposition the call. You can profile you can update the formatting of your script by going to the format ribbon here, and you can change the name here if you'd like. So you have some options for scripts as well. Again, there's more detail available on dispositioning or changing the call results and updating scripts on our knowledge base, and I'll go over that here in just a couple moments. So we're almost at the hour here. We've got about 5 more minutes. I'm going to just breeze through the reports. If anybody needs to drop, feel free to do so. Please fill out the survey for us. Let us know the value you've gotten out of the call today. Hopefully you've learned a few good things to start as a takeaway to get you started before you use ReadyMode. And let's take a look at these top 3 reports to see how you're doing as you start making calls. So dialer report. The dialer report enables you to view that background dialing activity. So how many calls did I make today? How many calls did I make this week, this month? You can find all of these questions, answers to these questions in the dialer report. And you can see the outcome of the calls. It does not include manually dialed or inbound calls, just keep that in mind. And here are some of the popular measurements of the dialer report. So we can see how many calls are going out on average per agent, how many calls have gone out over a period of time, those not in service numbers, you can monitor those. The answered calls, so that includes answered answering machine as well as live answered calls, machine received calls, abandoned. And then these blue ones here are really great to start to look at how well your lead lists are doing. And also your calls to connect can give you a sense of, have I reached out to my leads a little too much? How many rounds have I actually dialed these leads, because that calls to connect will start inching up. Or maybe I need to make sure that my phone numbers are still in good health or change those out. So calls to connect is kind of a flag to see how hard the dialer is working, and if any changes would benefit you making connections with your customers. And you can do it by file and time. So you can really start breaking down your results and allowing you to see further information about your calling activity. You can see this is the dialer report example. It looks very much like a spreadsheet, and you can see it over a period of time. This is a 2-week rolling. You've got some default reports already loaded up into your gateway to get you started, and you can start taking a look at them. I do go over these in our reporting in ReadyMode and how to read these reports and really start to make good sense out of all of these numbers and being able to make adjustments to your system as you go along. But yeah, these are good reports to start with. Agent report is another great report. This is really going to allow you to monitor productivity. You can prepare payroll with this as well. So it offers time measurements for your payable activity, and talk time, transfer rate. It's really a great coaching tool for your agents as well. So especially if you've got agents at a distance, you can see what their start time is, when they ended their shift, how much time they logged, how much payable hours they logged, and you can really break it down. This is a highly configurable report with lots and lots of options. This is an example of a report. There's a lot of agents on here, but you can see that a lot of details available, everything from the wait time. So how much time on average are your agents waiting between getting calls? This is a great wait time, by the way. 16 seconds is pretty good. And the ready time, payable time, a lot of options here in the agent report. Finally, call logs. So I love call logs because you can listen to the actual calls that your agents are making. And yeah, you can start seeing, how are they doing with the scripts? How are they doing with the offer? Is there additional coaching needed from a quality perspective? And you can do it by agent. So there's a lot of slicing and dicing of information that you can really kind of dig deep into your calling activity. And the outcome of the calling activity is reportable as well. So again, listening to calls is something you can do with the call logs. You can review a disposition summary. So what percentage were sales? What percentage were not interested? What percentage were not answered? So all of this is available as percentages, and you can really start to see and track your success over time. This is what a call logs report kind of looks like. We've got some blurred out detail here, but you can see we've got a timestamp, disposition, and you can hear those calls by pressing play or even downloading them. And you can take a look at information based on the duration of the call, by campaign, by file. So you can start to monitor, how is a file doing, and listen to those calls. So lots of options again in the call logs report. And this is what that summary looks like. So I can see interested, number of calls, interested live. So you could change this to over a week's period of time and be able to see, gosh, how many appointments did I make this week? And really determine, okay, I made this amount of appointments this week. You know, maybe I'll do a bit more next week. And it's really great. It's a very motivating activity as well to take a look at these reports. So let's talk about the wrap up here. We went through a lot today, and wow, we're right on time for the session. So great. We didn't get any questions today, but that's okay. Feel free to ask any questions at the end of the session. We went over the very basics. So logging in, navigation, how to set up agents, uploading a lead list, campaigns. We went through so much stuff, some tips on spam likely and inbound queues. We went over the reports. So hope you got a lot of value out of the session today. I know I go fast, so feel free to review that recording again and be happy to, actually, what I'll do is I'll send you, we've got a whole page of getting started resources. It includes links to short videos on things like playlists and ordering phone numbers. So if you don't want to kind of go through the whole recording and pick out the sections, you can just check out those short videos and get some answers there as well. And yeah, let me just go through those support and training resources. So you will have received the resource guide for administrators. This includes the quick start setup and reporting, some training tools, our help center billing process, more information about these sessions, which you're very welcome to join again. And then agents also have their own resource guide. So you can kind of find everything about, you know, what it means to be an administrator, what it means to be an agent, and the tools that you have available to you. ReadyMode Academy, talked about that a little bit already. So you can get your agents that certificate of completion given to you so that you are assured that they know what they're doing. Also, ReadyMode Academy, and I'm just going to hop over there and show you what that looks like. You can see here's the agent training. There's also a quick start administrator training that you can go through, and it reviews a lot of the things that I've gone through today, but really at your own pace. So if you want to see more about campaigns, there's a short campaigns course with step-by-step instructions. And yeah, you can take a look at that. You can get a certificate at the end, and that's another option for you. Of course, the knowledge base, here's that help center. I'm just going to go to help.readymode.com. Great organized set of knowledge about ReadyMode, details much more so than I've gone into today. If you want to really deep dive into some of those configuration settings, permissions, reports without having to, you know, come to a webinar or view any videos, you can read about it. Lots of information available here. It's searchable, and we also have a chat function in the corner here. There is ability to get customized onboarding. So if you have 5 or more seats in ReadyMode, it is complimentary. For those with less seats, you can still receive one-on-one onboarding. There is a fee associated with it. And if you're interested, you can email onboarding@readymode.com. And I'm just going to put that into the chat. So we have that for you. There you go, onboarding@readymode.com. And yeah, and that's available if you'd like that one-on-one customized support. Otherwise, you're very welcome to come to a live webinar. So you are currently in live webinar, as you know, and I do webinars every Tuesday and Thursday where we do live walkthroughs, take your questions, and just really try to help you get oriented into ReadyMode. There's, again, very powerful system, lots of ways you can configure it, but there's really a few only key activities to do before you kind of fire up the dialer and start making those connections. And these are free of charge, so feel free to join anytime, and you'll get a recording afterwards that you can share. So again, thank you very much for choosing ReadyMode. We're just after the hour and open to any questions. I don't see any in the chat at the moment, but I'll just wait a couple moments to see if there's anything coming in. And Yeah, no, I don't see any major questions. You know what? If you do have some come up that you think, oh, I really should have asked that in the webinar today, feel free to email me. Again, you're going to get a recording of this webinar within the next 24 hours. You'll get it from me, and you can just email me back, and I'm happy to provide you additional information, resources, answer your questions by email. So great. No, I think we're good for today. Thank you again very much. Don't forget to check out the survey that'll pop up at the end of the Zoom session today. And yeah, I really appreciate you joining today, and a happy dialing as in your first few days of making calls. Have a great one, and I hope to see you again. Take care. Bye for now.